I think I found out my husband doesn't love me.
Okay.
My 40 female husband, 42 male, of 20 years is going through a typical midlife crisis. He's told me that he is unhappy in our relationship, even though up until recently everything was good, no complaints. He has a long list of things he's unhappy about in our relationship. Mostly typical midlife things, not enough sex, not enough spontaneity, etc. I asked him if all this was true, why does he stay? Why does he even want to be with me?
I really want to say baller. I think that's
baller.
That's amazing. Actually, yeah. Call it out.
And the only things he could list were things I've done for him. Moving for his job a bunch of times, quitting my college to move by his family, being a stay-at-home mom for 18 years.
Like not even like saying fucking personality, like nothing like that.
Keeping everything running smoothly and peacefully at home. I told him those are not me, not personality traits, but things I have done for him.
Yeah.
He still couldn't come up with anything he likes about me that wasn't directly tied to an increase in his quality of life. Is it that hard to say you're smart and interesting and I like spending time with you?
It's not that difficult to say at all.
Now I just feel like I've been a utility in his life. Has anyone been through this? Where do I go from here? When I tried explaining why that was hurtful, he didn't get it. Okay, sorry.
That's fucking crazy.
He basically said, aren't you happy that I appreciate those things? And now I'm wondering if I am asking too much. Maybe I should be happy that he appreciates the sacrifices I've made for our family.
No, that's crazy. I feel like, okay, even if it was like, quote unquote acceptable to say that, no Riz. There's not a good thing there.
No Riz?
No fucking Riz. Yeah, there's no Riz. Because like you're fucking. That
is true.
You're just saying shit.
Just lied. Honestly,
you're not a fucking. You're not doing a performance review right now. We're not doing a fucking. Why are you treating me like a fucking worker?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Am I the asshole for telling my mom she'll never have grandkids because of how she voted?
Ooh,
this is a serious one.
Okay.
Yeah. Important info, my parents and I, only child, live in a state with very restrictive reproductive health laws. In summer of 23, I, 30 female, came off birth control because of some pretty bad side effects. My spouse, 33 male, and I were always ambivalent about kids. We figured if it happened, it happened, and if not, parenthood just wasn't meant for us. Fast forward to the holidays of 23, when visiting my in-laws out of state, I was rushed to the ER, bleeding out internally with what turned out to be a ruptured ectopic pregnancy.
Oh, shit.
I underwent emergency surgery where they stopped the bleeding, but I did lose my right fallopian tube.
Oh my God.
After this, I went back on birth control and had my doc do a full workup before my spouse and I decided next steps. The workup revealed a large, benign tumor on my remaining tube, as well as significant uterine fibroids. I was told that any pregnancy I had would be high risk and that carrying to term was not as likely, but also not impossible. Given the diagnosis and that my state has now caused the need for a legal team's input for providing emergency abortions in the case of a mother's health being in jeopardy. So that was a lot of words, but I'm going to say that again for everyone.
Yeah, no, because this is fucking insane. Yeah, like.
Given the diagnosis and that my state has now caused the need for a legal team's input for providing emergency abortions in the case of a mother's health being in jeopardy. So the doctor can't give an emergency abortion to a mother
unless they get legal involved to see if it's even legal to do.
See if it's possible. They have to approve it.
Yeah.
Legal has to approve it first.
Which is really good when you have like seconds
Someone
on
dying.
the clock. Yeah, like.
Yeah. Health being in jeopardy, I decided to move forward with removal of my uterus and remaining tube instead of risk death a second time.
Yeah.
The surgery occurred the day after the election, and I am recovering well physically. Still working on the emotional side.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, understood.
Yeah. My mom, who really fell down the MAGA pipeline in the last 2 years, called me a few days ago for our monthly catch-up. I had not told her or anyone besides my best friend and spouse about the procedure because I wanted to come to terms with my decision before having to explain it to others. She went off on a long rant about how the new government will be great for families for when she becomes a grandma, and that a national abortion ban would save so many lives of unborn babies.
This is a slam dunk. What you're about to do. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
I completely lost it and screamed at her that she would never become a grandma, and it's because of how she and those like her voted. I told her I had to have everything removed so I couldn't become pregnant and actually die this time. I hung up after that and had a breakdown. My dad, who is not MAGA, called me a few days ago to let me know that he was sorry that I had to make this decision, that he hoped I healed, but that I couldn't talk to my mom like that,
Healed?
and I need to apologize.
It's been what, like days? Healed? Fuck you. And also fuck you trying to be like, you should talk to your mom still. That's great. Apologize. Go fuck yourself.
Yep. Personally, I don't want to apologize for what I said. You shouldn't.
Correctly, you shouldn't apologize.
You shouldn't do that. I will apologize for how I said it. Don't do that. But I really don't think I'm that much of an asshole at the end of the day. So
yeah,
the asshole?
You're not wrong. Yeah.
You're not wrong. Your anger isn't even misplaced.
Yeah,
It's very correctly placed. What else could you get angry about if you couldn't get angry about this?
Yeah, like
That's
this is
what
a very
I've been asking
cut and
myself.
dry, like there were consequences from fucking 2016 to 2020 that carried through.
And even pre, like a lot of people I think are forgetting a lot of the politics.
It was still hard, yeah.
It was very hard. It laid the groundwork for this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true.
You know,
but yeah, no, fucking obviously not the asshole.
You might be like, well, Sarah, this is not a discussion. This is a podcast. It's about discussing. Well, you know what we can discuss? All of the other commenters on this Reddit post giving their stories, which I have 3 picked out.
Okay.
Obviously not the asshole. Just want to share these stories. I just want to say, as someone who also had to have an unwanted hysterectomy, that I'm sorry for what you've lost. It gets easier in time. My wife had placenta precreta that in the end required a hysterectomy. Long story short, we moved across country just as we learned she was pregnant. She had complications, and the religious hospital that we went to totally ignored, parentheses, lied, about how serious it was. We had to travel back to our original home state to receive the care we needed. Unfortunately, lost the pregnancy and ability to have additional children.
Oh, fuck.
And yes, we have those same parents, quote unquote, that voted against her right to be here today. We hardly talk to one and do not talk to another.
Yeah.
Even when your daughter and in-law goes through something that's scary, they shouldn't change their beliefs. Or they couldn't change their beliefs. Sorry, not shouldn't. As much as it may hurt, those types of people will never understand it. Move on. You'll be better off in the long run. Your sanity is more important than her hate.
That's 100% correct. Yeah.
And then I have one very long one that I do want to read.
Okay.
Honestly, people are thinking banning abortion saves lives. It doesn't. If you've got a 16-year-old girl who is forced against her will to have sex, even once and gets pregnant, and I won't want to edit is raped, even once and gets pregnant, who's to say that she could raise that child when she is still but a child herself? She might have family to help her, but she might not. Now, instead of being able to choose whether or not she believes she's ready to become a mother or carry a child that was conceived through such traumatic means, some women/girls can do it, some can't. She's forced to. If she's not ready, you know what happens? That child gets neglected and either dies in infantry or childhood, or the girl commits suicide. Now, because one choice was taken away, you've ruined countless lives. Her friends, any family she might have had, teachers she may have been close to, even the cashier at her local grocery store. Another option, adoption. But who's to say that child ends up in a good home? Who's to say that child doesn't grow up resenting her mother for giving them away? Or grows up in a mentally unstable home and becomes another school shooter or something? Now, everything could be fine and work out okay, but realistically in this country, what's the likelihood of that happening? The other side of that is a woman has an unplanned pregnancy, forced pregnancy, or a planned one. The first and third option, something goes wrong like it unfortunately did for OP, and there's a need to abort. They might not be able to have one because of the abortion ban. Now, not only have you lost a child due to unforeseen events, but you've also lost a woman which affects so many other people to the point other children are affected either directly, as she could work with children or have nieces and nephews, kids of her own, or her family is so devastated they can't snap out of whatever for a while. The second option is basically everything I explained above. But another thing, because someone said that states would be able to choose if they want to ban abortion, here's the problem with that. If you need one because you're not mentally ready for motherhood, you now need to travel possibly several states just to get an abortion, which I don't think would be allowed. But if it is, you've now wasted money on gas and whatever else, or a plane ticket, just to have a procedure you should have been able to have at home. The flip side, you need an emergency abortion. OP stated that in her state, you need a legal team in order to get one. What if you don't have money for a lawyer? Is the government going to pay for every woman in America to have lawyers in case of a needed abortion? Because if not, then they shouldn't be making such important decisions for us. A woman may not have time to wait for a lawyer to explain why her abortion is necessary or to travel states to save her life. The ban on abortion would ruin more lives than it would save, if you ask me.
Yeah. No, yeah, the ban is going to kill more people. Like,
they're not pro-life.
They're not. They never have been. They never will be.
I torpedoed a dude's entire career because he was a bully. So to preface, I know I'm something of a nepo baby, but it is what it is. My mom is incredibly successful in a very niche but very lucrative field of business. This allowed my dad to be a stay-at-home dad and for me and my siblings to get a good education. When I graduated from college, I decided to go into the same field as my mom. While I love her and our relationship is good, I very much did not want to be only viewed as her kid or receive special treatment due to how well regarded she is. So I use my dad's surname and generally keep who my mom is to myself. I also avoided coming to work for her. In my field and country, it's generally accepted that people are hired for a trial period, at the end of which either the employee or the employer can cut ties with, no fines or compensation required. So anyway, I went to work at one company. Again, I'll remind you, very niche market, very few employment opportunities. I went in for my trial period and everyone seemed pretty happy with me. I put out some fires and one superior described me as a workhorse because I'm the first to the office and last out the door. It goes pretty well, except for one colleague in my team. This dude is a huge jerk. I'm a bit of a people pleaser and try to be on good terms with everyone, but jerk will have none of it. Dude is incredibly rude. He keeps being very confrontational. Like if a colleague, not just me, was getting any sort of acknowledgement, jerk would belittle them and their accomplishment. If someone was saying they had a rough time with something, jerk would pop up going, "Oh yeah, I did that a while back. It was super easy." Whenever someone tried talking about future plans with me, jerk would go, "Oh yeah, we'll see about that." He also apparently said some very unkind things about my appearance and masculinity, but those at least he had the decency to say behind my back, I suppose, and I only learned about them later. Like, dude was incredibly mean for apparently no reason except trying to make himself look better by making everyone else look worse. This one thing wasn't true to me specifically because I'm male, but his meanness seemed to apply especially to women. A few comments were about how working in this field isn't for moms and they should be raising kids or whatever, and some other very bad stuff. But management seemed pretty content keeping him around because apparently he was a pretty good worker and they liked that he was ambitious. My trial period ends, I'm offered a permanent position but decide this is not the place for me as I don't love being anybody's workhorse and have very little interest in sticking around in Jerk's vicinity. I respectfully inform them I will not be sticking around and go find work elsewhere. On my last day, I come to say goodbye. Management says they're sorry to see me go. Colleagues wish me well and say they're going to miss me. Jerk goes, I told you weren't going to stick around. Good riddance. Maybe this field isn't for you either. Very loudly. I leave. I'm not very confrontational and I don't have to deal with him anymore, so I just go. Some time goes by and I'm now employed elsewhere. I'm happy and I'm doing well. I love my work and my colleagues. I've been promoted and I don't really think about Jerk anymore, except apparently there's a relative influx of applicants from Jerk's company. My boss knows I did a trial period over there, so whenever an applicant comes up, he asks me about my experience with them. There are very few people I dislike, so when asked, I usually give my honest opinion, which is usually very positive. But guess whose application we suddenly receive? It's Jerk. My boss asks for my opinion and I say, look, I have personal feelings about this person and I can't be objective. Boss, knowing just how positive I usually am about basically everyone, asks me what's up, and eventually I tell him. I tell him everything. Jerk obviously doesn't get hired. I assume that's the end of that. A few days later, we have a family dinner. My mom goes, wait, you had a trial period at that company, right? Do you know Jerk? Well, my mom knew there was a person I really didn't get along with at that company and the shitty things they did. I tell her it was him. Obviously, she ain't gonna hire him either, especially given his views on women. So my company ends up hiring one of Jerk's company's former worker. Me and her are on great terms, and this is how I discovered what happened there. Jerk got promoted, and that made a bunch of people want to leave. This caused management to look into why, and why strong applicants were leaving after the trial period was over. Turned out it was Jerk. Someone had a talk with him, and from what I gather, he was not receptive to criticism. He was let go. This is when he applied to the company I work for and to my mom's. Homie made your bed and I'll lay in it. There's one comment that I think everyone should practice, and it says, there are some people I connect with on LinkedIn just to make sure I will never need to work with them ever again. That's so smart. Or they say keep your friends close but enemies closer.